milk cookies. We call it the PS and start people call them cushion. We don't speak ill of the dead. We hope you won't be offended by the things that are said. Playing devil's advocate, and no one here to judge you. Express your true thoughts, you will spread out and love you. Everybody's listening, nobody's tripping. This life's too crazy, everybody's ripping. This life's so crazy, run and tell your friends. You on the right side, there's no need to pretend. This an open forum, never done before. It's a future mission, this is a no cousin, speak the left of it, no button. No extra charge to switch for me buzzing. We don't really care if you're right or you're wrong. Just tune into Miss Kiki, whichever time it's on.
Hey, Miss Kiki, it's time to play. It's time to play. Devil's advocate. Hey, Miss Kiki, it's PDA. It's time to play. Devil's advocate.
As we go a little something like this.
Here may not necessarily be those of the host or the show in general, but we're willing to have the uncomfortable conversations so that we can heal and find solutions for our listeners and quite possibly even ourselves. Enjoy the show.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Playing Devil's Advocate. I am your host, Miss Kiki, the consummate provocateur, and for the next 120 minutes, we are going to edutain you. That means for the next 2 hours, you're going to be educated and entertained. I can't say what the emphasis is going to be on this week, but I guarantee you, you'll have some stimulating conversation. But before we get into any of that, I need to take care of some light housekeeping by letting you know if this is your first time joining us, we are here each and every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Central, and 10 p.m. to you guys on the East Coast. If you happen to miss a live broadcast, trust me, you can always come back right here to our channel and watch any of our previous shows. Now, if you know anything about us, we are uncensored, unscripted, unapologetic, and completely interactive. So if you want to be a part of the conversation, make sure you are following us on Twitter at PDA_Miss Kiki. That's PDA_MSKIKI. And we will make sure if you post us a comment that we get your comment on air. If you want to post our Facebook wall at facebook.com/Playing Devil's Advocate, we'll get your comment on there as well. And not if that wasn't enough, we have an interactive chat room right here on YouTube. So make sure that you participate in the conversation over there. It gets a little feisty over there sometimes. So make sure that you are not afraid to jump into the deep end and get in with the conversation. All right. So also need to let you know if you want to know anything about me, my co-hosts, our experts, our guests, you can always travel on over to KiKiRichardson.com, and there you'll be able to find out about any of us. You'll be able to purchase Playing Devil's Advocate merchandise and a copy of my book, The Other Woman Code of Conduct, What Every Other Woman Should Know, and Men Too. You can get a copy. Don't judge a book by its cover. And you can listen to any of our old archive shows that we used to do before we went audio. Before we went video, when we were all audio. You can catch those shows over there. So now, before I get into the rest of the show, I need to bring on Ride Shotgun with me tonight. She rides shotgun with me each and every week. You know her, you love her. She's none other than the fallen angel herself, and why not have her, seeing as though we're talking about religion? Her name is Angel. She's the preacher's daughter. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Miss Sporty, Spunky Angel. Hey, girl.
Hey, what's up, Kiki?
Girl, the sun, the sky, the moon, the stars. You want to know what's something that's interesting before we get into tonight's conversation?
What?
You know how I was talking about how you can go to KiKiRichardson.com and listen to any of our old archive shows from when we were just audio?
Yeah.
Well, interestingly enough, I got a message in my inbox the other day.
Okay.
And it was like, really, Kiki? Really? And they were like, rhinestone handcuffs, R. Kelly mask, they were talking about, they were like, I'm listening to some of the archive shows and it is getting me through the day. And I was like, oh, wow. I was like, really? What the hell were we talking about? What kind of show is that?
What was that?
I don't know. They were talking about whips and ball gags, all kind of stuff. I said, let me go back and check out this show because apparently I must have missed what the hell we were talking about. Because, you know, when you in the show, you miss it. It's different for you when you actually watching it. And I went back and watched the episode, and it was our everything but penetration show.
Oh, my God. Didn't we do two
Part
of those?
Part one. It was everything but penetration, part one. And let me tell you, girl, I was cracking up. It was truly edutaining.
How did it sound?
It was funny. It was hilarious. It was hilarious. I mean, you know, that was back in the day when I had both of my angels, my good angel and my bad angel. So,
oh my God, not our innocent Sassy.
Yeah. Big shout out goes to friend of the show, my good friend, Mr. Anthony Dorsett Jr. He is celebrating his birthday today. Big ups to you, Daddy-O. If y'all get a chance, go stop by his Twitter at Dorsett Jr. and wish him a happy birthday. Y'all seen him on the show before. Y'all seen his abs on the show before. I'm just
saying. Yes. Birthday AD.
All right. And big shout out to Mo Elam, Michael McCary, Tamika Scott, and Christian Keys, all the hosts of Soul Elixir Radio. They I just want to give them a big shout out to them. They killed it last night, and they had some big things working. So I just want to say big shout out to my people over there. And now we can talk. And Sporty is broadcasting under the influence tonight. So if she look a little dazed and confused, it is because she actually is dazed and confused.
I'm not confused, but I'm definitely dazed.
I don't need you to be either, actually. But hey, it is what it is. All right. Tonight's show.
Girl.
Give me a second. Tonight's show, I'm trying to get to this chat room over here. They started trouble already.
I know. You see Louis out there talking about what we doing.
Yes, Louis Dockside, honey. He always causes some problems up in our chat room. So big ups to him for being a repeat offender. But tonight's show, get into the nitty gritty. Tonight's show is Losing My Religion. We're talking about organized religion, y'all. We are breaking all the rules. Like I said, you know, people say you're not supposed to talk about politics and you're not supposed to talk about religion. Well, last week we talked about politics, and this week we're talking about religion. So rules be damned, right?
Hello.
We're going to have an in-depth conversation about organized religion. And we're going to ask and answer some of these questions. Do you think religion is, organized religion is set up to control the masses? Do you think it's set up to follow the messengers instead of the message? Do you think that organized religion is just a big business? And are you tired of holy rollers sitting in judgment of others when they are the ones who are more messed up than the people that they're sitting there judging? So if you are on the verge of, or you have already lost your religion, don't miss tonight's conversation. Call a friend. Phone a friend, y'all.
Girl.
All right. So religion is defined as the service and worship of God or the supernatural, a commitment or devotion to a religious faith or observance, a personal set of institutionalized system or religious attitudes, beliefs, and practices, and a cause, principle, or system of beliefs held to with ardor and faith. Okay? And it's interesting to me. I grew up going to church, not because my mom made me go. She gave us the opportunity to make the decision if we wanted to go or not, right? So I appreciate that. She didn't force it down my throat, so I felt like it was punishment. No, you know, most people, when they forced to go to church, they don't want to go to church once they get grown. So, you know, I have to say big shout out to Miss Dorothy for that, for allowing us to make the decision for ourselves on what we wanted. You know what I mean? And what we chose to follow. I mean, she gave us a guideline. She gave us something to follow, but she didn't force it down our throat. And that's what most people do. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to religion. The biggest thing that I find about organized religion that sticks in my craw is that you know what? I can have a belief. I can tell you about it, and you can agree with me or not agree with me. And when I say you, I mean you people is in plural, not just you, Sporty. And then we can move on. We can have a discussion about it or whatever. But you know, these religion, these people who are in these organized religions, you know, they are like, they're worse than bill collectors.
I agree.
You know, it's like, get off my back.
Well, you know, one of the biggest things that I have always found interesting, and I'll use the word interesting, is that people seem to feel like, because there are so many different religions, KiKi, you have, you know, you got Catholicism, you got Baptist, you got Methodist, you know, I mean, you got everything, right? So you know for a fact that if you go to a Catholic school, they're gonna, part of the curriculum is going to Catholic service, right? So my daddy was a Baptist preacher. So during the week, I got to go to these, you know, these Catholic services. And so in my head, I'm drilled with the kneel, stand, set your watch to a Catholic service. But my daddy's a Baptist preacher. I know my Baptist, you know, church doctrine as well. So I got two different religions here that I'm growing up with and following. And when you have two people, and I'm a preacher's kid, so you got two different religions, who's to say what's right? They're all following one faith, they're all following one God, and you got people, you know, that will think that you're confused and not knowing what to believe or who to believe, you know, that I'm not smart enough to make up my own mind as to be able to read more than one book, because this book that was not written by God, that's a whole nother show.
Right. No, it's not. No, it's not a whole nother show.
But I'm saying, well, to some people it would be, because, you know, if you go into a whole conversation about who wrote the Bible and what it says, and, you know, how many.
Let me just say this right here, right now. To anybody listening to this show who believes that God wrote the Bible, you're a moron. You're an idiot.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is because even in the text itself, it says the gospel according to.
Yeah, it does say that.
Right? So if you don't understand that the gospel according to, it means that this is something that according to somebody else's recollection or understanding of the events in question. If you don't get that, you're an idiot.
This is true. I digress. I'll leave that part alone then. You are correct.
If you don't know that supposedly the scripture of the word of God is supposed to be in red, you know what I mean, and everything else is in black, which we don't even know if that's actually what he said, because any of us had to recount what somebody else told us. If you could ask 5 different people that was there all at the same time, they all gonna have a different vantage point and some different things about what happened in that scenario. So how do we know that this person's version is more accurate than the next person who was there who didn't actually write it down? We don't.
And then they'll argue you up and down about who's right and who's wrong. That is what drives me bananas.
About who's right? What you mean who's right and who's wrong?
About whose version is right and whose version is wrong. You know, I get so sick of how many versions are written about this damn book, and whose church is the best church and the right church, and why you need to follow this faith and that faith. And girl,
and here's the thing. When we talk about like the, you know, organized religion, I think more of the church as opposed to the actual religion itself that annoys me, right? Because the religion in and of itself, it speaks for itself, but it's the humans that call themselves trying to tell folks what the scripture is, or give their slant on what they think it is, that drive me insane, right?
Okay.
So, I mean, I can go to church and have a good time and do all that good stuff, but what I don't want to hear is other people trying to tell me how I should live my life. I think I may have mentioned this before. When I was in California, I was trying to figure out where I wanted to go, you know, worship, right? And so I went to Faithful Central,
Okay.
And I went to, because it was not far from where, so I went there, and I enjoyed Bishop Omer, but he annoyed me because he would do stuff like repeat stuff over and over. He'll say, I said, the devil is lie. I don't think you heard me. The devil, or whatever it is that he was trying to get his point across. I'm like, I heard you times. Let's move on. Right? That kind of stuff annoys me. It's like, what is this for the remedial church people? Like, I don't get it. Right? But big shout out to Bishop Omer. You're from Chicago, so I gotta show you some love. So anyway, I was at revival one time, and I had gone to the revival for the week, and there were people all week, and then there was Bishop McClendon. I had to leave. I left during his service because I could not focus on the message because of the messenger. First of all, you came down the center aisle, like with all this pomp and circumstance. You got bodyguards and all this. We at church. He dressed like a peacock, from Chicago too, Chicagoland area. But yeah, I was just like, come on, dude. I'm so not, and I'm not a fan of people with the land hands.
It's his armor bearer, said properly.
I ain't a fan of people laying their hand, laying hands and all that other shit. I'm not a fan of that. So it always reminds me of good times. Smiling, saying,
girl, stop.
That's what he reminded me of. Not physically, but all that extra,
you know what I mean? Yeah.
I felt like I should have been like, we don't roar, we don't fight, but we're going to score tonight. Guys, we're rolling along, right? I felt like that's what I should have been saying. So I ended up leaving. So the next day, I almost didn't go. And Noel Jones was preaching that day. Okay. And so everybody's like, you got to go to that one. You got to go to that one. You went to all these other ones. You got to go to this.
See my face, right? Uh-huh.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, fine. And so I go. He comes in very unassuming and just some slacks and a matching shirt. So it was like a pants set. He wasn't all garbed up and all this extra stuff, right? It wasn't blingy or flashy. His outfit was actually like black or dark blue, something like that. So I was just like, okay, let's see what this cat. First thing after they did the little praise and worship, first thing he said was offering time, right? Like, let's get this out the way. So y'all don't have to creep out when it's time. So let's just go ahead and get that out the way. He did offering one time for about like 5 minutes, just enough for the play to go through. And then it was like, all right, enough for them to finish the song. And it wasn't the extended version of the song through praise and worship. It was just sing the damn song and let's get into the word.
Okay.
And to him, and he was more of a teacher, not a preacher.
Right.
And that's what I find difficult to swallow. Are preachers. Don't flipping preach to me. Because preaching to me says to me that you're somehow thinking you're in a better position than I am. That you're somehow up here and I'm down here. A teacher, on the other hand, is someone that says, I have this information and I'm willing to share it with you. You know what I mean?
So what is it about preaching to you that you don't get the same premise? What makes you think that a preacher isn't giving you something, giving you a lesson that the teacher is giving you? What's
okay, I'll give you the difference between the Bishop McClendon and the Noel Jones. Okay. Right? Or I'll give you the difference between Smiling Sam, Smiling Sam, the happiness man, and Bishop Jones. Right? First of all, Bishop Jones is relatable to me in the sense that, one, we know who his sister is, and we know she ain't, holier than thou, right? So it's like, okay, so we know that there's some people like your people in my family too, right? Even though you come from a pastor, you're a preacher's kid. We know, okay, so I can relate to you on that level.
Right.
Secondly, I can relate to you on the level that you were married and divorced. So now you're not high and mighty that you think, you can tell, you know what I mean? So it's like, okay, you failed at something. So clearly you're not perfect.
Got
right?
you. Got you.
So that's the second thing. The third thing is he wasn't flashy. He's not flashy. It's all about what is the text, right? What is the message that you are supposed to get today? So when you would get into Noel Jones, it's one of those things where you're bringing out your concordance and your actual Bible. Okay. You got a notepad and you taking notes, because he will use terminology and explain it to you and tell you where to find it for yourself if you don't believe him. It was one of those things like, you ain't gotta take my word for it, but this is, this is what it means, and this is where you can go find it, and you can search, that kind of thing, like a teacher would do.
But preachers do that too.
Versus preachers who are telling you all about how you are a sinner and how you are going to hell if you don't do blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. Now, I've heard on many occasions, like Noel Jones will say stuff like, oh, is it just me? You know what I mean? Like, he'll make reference to something in the Bible or bring up a scenario. He'll be like, oh, so, everybody be sitting there. He's like, oh, so it's just me. Y'all just gonna make me look like I'm the only one. So it's one of those things where it's more of a interaction with you and wanting you to understand the information and seek that knowledge for yourself, other than me tell you and you do what I tell you to do. Because that's what preaching is. I'm telling you what to do, what to say, and you follow that.
See, now here's where, and in hearing you give that description, it is not, it doesn't come across like that anymore in most churches, where people see, you might have some seasoned citizen preachers that still teach like that, or that still preach across their pulpits that way. But most modern day preachers now, they are more in the teaching realm, and they get to the point where when they're what they call closing their sermon, that's when they get to the preaching part, or they go to what they call the Calvary part of it, when they talk about Jesus on the cross, and they end in their sermons like that, but for the most part, they do teach in their sermon when they talk about it, and they break it down like that, or they may talk about where certain words come from and bring it all together. So I think there is a miscommunication on how sermons are delivered. It's not all just preaching like you just described, where they're just telling you and hammering it down to you like, you're this is, you're going to hell if you don't do this, and this, and not explaining to you like how it operates in the real world. It's not just given out like that anymore. It really isn't.
Well, I put it to you like this. I just personally, that's not my flow. And
I agree. I don't think it should be.
And growing up in an environment where it was Southern Baptist, dang near to the point where it's all this ritual stuff that doesn't make sense to me. Oh, yeah. Like, I remember my sister being in the choir at church, and at one church before we moved and went over to Christ Tabernacle, right? They were saying that they couldn't wear earrings, they couldn't wear red lipstick, all this. I'm like, what the hell does that have to do with them singing in the choir? What the hell does that have to do with church in and of itself? You can't wear pants in the sanctuary. Why?
That's Old Testament.
If you can't get dressed up and come to church, they looking at you pointing fingers. First of all, why are you judging me? That's inappropriate in and of itself. But what the hell does my dress code have to do with anything? If I'm supposed to come as I am, I'm coming as I am. Why? Because Jesus, God, whoever, has seen me in my absolute worst. So why I'm going to come up here and get dressed up? Because I ain't getting dressed up for him. I'm getting dressed up for you. And it's all bass backwards to me. And it's just all this pompous, all this extra shit. Think about when we was in Catholic school. Kneel, stand up, and then you go and they doing all this little stuff and the genuflecting and the this, that, and the holy oil. Why am I about to do all that shit? I told y'all I almost didn't graduate from high school because I almost didn't get all my religion credits. Because I was upset because I asked the daggone religion teacher a question. She gonna tell me I shouldn't question God. And I told her I wasn't questioning God. I was questioning her. You know, why in the world can we ask questions? All I want to know is why I got to go confess to a third party so he can go relay my stuff back to God. Why? And then on one hand, you're telling me I need to have my own relationship with God. So if I got my own relationship, why I got to come to you to tell God to forgive me? And then you tell me some stupid shit like say 5 Hail Marys. And then, what the hell? Why I got to do that? What does that do?
See now, you'd have done better if you had done what I did when I went to confession. Because I personally didn't understand.
I never went to confession.
I went because I almost got suspended for not going. So on Thursdays, when they would take our class to confession, we decided, as in me and the girls and some of the boys in class, I would go in the confession booth and say, I slept with this boy, I kissed this girl, I did this. I would pull up my shirt in the confession booth and just do all kind of inappropriate stuff in there, you know, because I was being inappropriate. I was being sporty. I wasn't sporty then, but, you know, I was beginning my inappropriate breaking my halo career, you know, at that time. So, you know, I had fun in confession because I couldn't get out of doing it. And yes, I knew if I had to have my own relationship, then this is what I was going to do. And, you know, being the daughter of a Baptist minister, you know, I didn't care nothing about Catholicism. I was trying to get through 8th grade at Holy Alcatraz.
I didn't care nothing about none of that pomp and circumstance. You know what I mean? Just in general. One thing that I did enjoy about going to church, you know, for Catholic school was that I could wear jeans. I could wear a warm-up. I could wear whatever I wanted. And nobody was going to say anything. I didn't mind the fact that I could go in there and be out in an hour and get the same dang message that I could go across the street to this church and be in there for 3 damn hours. I did not mind that, right? But it's all that extra crap, the rituals, this mentality that has absolutely nothing to do with the quote unquote doctrine that's supposed to be being taught in this place of worship.
But see, you know, they take it to extremes. But let me explain a few things to you about this. You know, some of these things I understand now, you know, because I still attend a Baptist church. You know, even though my dad is gone, I still go to a Baptist church that's been in our family for years. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I am a choir member. You know, we don't wear earrings because some people might have on, let's say, like you got on 2 different earrings right now.
Yes.
That wouldn't be uniform in the choir stand. So either you're going to have on the small post or you're going to have on the big earring. So to alleviate all of that, we don't wear any earrings with our uniform. That's different.
That's uniform stuff.
That's why they do the no earrings in the choir stand. That's the only reason why that's that way. If you're going to have on, you have on that lipstick you're wearing now. I don't have on any lipstick. That person might have on this red lipstick.
Okay, but you know what?
It's to deter people from paying attention to what it is, the message of ministering to the music.
Here's the thing, though.
Get the choir member.
What the fuck does that matter, though? That's my point. You don't think people gonna see you anyway? You're standing up on the fucking stage.
They're going to see you.
Here's my point. My point is, you up there singing, dancing, moving around. You don't think I see you? It don't matter what color lipstick you have on. I'm not sitting there thinking about your lipstick.
But are you paying attention to what they're singing to you, or are you paying attention to what they're wearing? That's the point.
My point is, I don't care about what you're wearing. I'm not there for a fucking fashion show. So why are you making a big deal out of it? Because here's the thing. When you see the praise and worship team, or if they don't have on robes, not every choir wear robes. True. They might just all wear the same color or whatever. Now some people might have on a color and outfit that don't fit them appropriately. You know what I'm saying? Y'all should have had on robes so everybody look uniform.
True.
Can't pick and choose what you want to do. You can't say we all wearing purple today and then y'all all wearing different shades of purple and purple shit that's some people wearing it don't fit right. Some people this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. Oh, but y'all all don't have on earrings and all y'all don't have on lipstick. It's stupid as fuck.
I didn't say it wasn't. I'm just giving you the reason why, Kiki. I'm not saying.
I get that, but I'm saying it's stupid. It has nothing to do with church. You know what I mean? I get why you're saying why it happens, but it has nothing to do with church. It has nothing to do with the message. It's that extra shit that I'm saying that annoys me about organized religion. Because if I'm coming to get the word, I could care less that she got on a hoop and a stud. I can care less that, you know, she got on red lipstick and she has on purple lipstick. That
but
doesn't
to
matter.
someone else, it matters. It may not
Well,
matter
then they're
to
not
you.
there for what it's for, is my point.
Okay, fine. We'll just have to agree to disagree on that
That's
part.
fine too.
Fine.
That's fine too.
Moving right along, KiKi Richardson.
What you say?
I said moving right along, KiKi Richardson.
For those of you guys who just may be joining us, this is Playing Devil's Advocate. I am your host, Miss KiKi, the consummate provocateur, and today we are talking about losing my religion. We're talking about organized religion, our thoughts about it, and I'm talking about some of the things that just get on my nerve about things that happen in organized religion. And one of those things that Sporty and I had to agree to disagree on was, why the hell does it matter if somebody in the choir got it on 2 earrings or 1 or none or lipstick or whatever? We had to agree to disagree on that. If you want to be a part of our conversation, you can participate in our interactive chat room, or you can send us a tweet at PDA_Miss KiKi, or you can post our Facebook wall at facebook.com/playing devil's advocate. And I promise we'll get your comment on air. Another thing that sticks in my craw about religion, organized religion, is, and I'm gonna circle back to what we were talking about when I said it, you know, a lot of these church folks or religious people are worse than bill collectors, in the sense that it's always like, my religion is better than your religion. Or if you don't follow my religion, you doomed or whatever. And my thing is this: why are people, especially Christians, so arrogant to believe that there's only one way to get to the source?
Ooh, girl, don't start on that one. Well, let's go there. There are some that believe that their way is the only way. And that's what I call the people that are so heavenly bound that they are no earthly fucking good. And that annoys the shit out of me as well, because I feel like it's no secret that I have a problem with a certain group of people that like to come to your door and tell you that their way is the only way. And when I tell them, you know, my biggest issue is that you feel that you're the ones who can kick people out of your religion. Anybody who feels like they're bigger than God and you can kick them out of what it is that you're doing, then that's not the place for me.
Okay, you're talking about being disfellowshipped if you're for Jehovah's Witnesses. Is that what you're talking about?
Exactly.
Okay.
I have no respect for that.
All right, look, let me let me read some of the stuff that's going in the chat room. They were saying the gospel according to James and them. I think black folks would be way better off if we left religion at the plantation along with the whips and chains. I think I feel you on that one. They talk about that's called false doctrine. They said because that's the game. Church is the moral bank. It says Louis said I went to confession once. After that, they ain't want me back no more. He said, would you agree that organized religion does more to separate people than bring them together? Yes.
Yes.
I do. Yes, I do believe that is the case. Yes. And a lot of it because, you know, people who are religious are elitists. You know what I mean? They think somehow their spiritual journey or their religious journey somehow entitles them to something that you aren't entitled to, and you're not on their level if you are not doing what they're doing. But what they're doing is full of shit. I'm gonna beat you to if there's a heaven, I'm gonna beat you there instead of meet you there. And the reason will be because while you sitting here judging everything and looking at everybody and turning your nose down and doing all these things. I had somebody tell, I was talking about burning sage and cleansing my space and all that other stuff. They was like, oh, that's some old voodoo, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm like, energy. There is energy. We all have energy. And I don't want people's residual energy staying with me, on me, or around me, especially if it's negative. So I will cleanse it. Oh, no, I can't do that. That's that devil. They went on and on telling me about how, believing in spirits and all this other stuff, blah, blah, blah. And I said, you know what? You can never tell me about nothing. And they were like, what you mean? I'm just telling you, this is the word. I'm like, no, that's not the word, first of all. Second of all, you can't tell me one word and then take the other word back because you sat here. Didn't I see you get high and get drunk? Aren't you fucking out of wedlock? Didn't you have an abortion? Shut the fuck up talking to me. You know what I mean? So you can't pick and choose from what you think is okay versus what you don't think is okay. And then in terms of the alcohol, well, Noah was an alcoholic, but he was chosen to build the ark. You not fucking Noah, bitch. Ain't nobody offered you the job to do nothing.
See, and that right there, that shit right there. Now that is what pisses me off, is when people take the word, the Bible, and they use these scriptures to fit what works for them. You can't pick and choose scriptures, take them out of context, and have them mold them to fit what it is you want to have work in your life, or have them fit and mold to have them go to what you're trying to say about somebody else, but it doesn't work for you.
They do
that
all
right
the
there
time.
Is the bullshit. Now that's where I completely draw the line with the bullshit, with all of these. That's one thing I will say about being a preacher's kid. The shit that you see behind the scenes with all of these ministers, from their pulpit to the household doors, is amazing. Amazing. I totally get it about don't shoot the messenger, because, oh dear God, the stuff that I got to take to my grave is unreal.
I don't understand why I see so much debauchery. I see so much backstabbing. I see so much cheating. I see so much whoring. I see so much greed. I see so much, all of the 7 deadly sins personified in the church on a regular basis.
Which makes people want to stay away from the church. Just as much that goes on outside of the church goes on inside of the church. And people see and decide to choose to see what's wrong with the church more than what's right with it. They see the same shit that they see going on outside of it, inside of it. So they like, fuck it, why do I need to go there if I'm gonna have the same thing out here? So they don't bother.
This woman was telling me about this guy she met at church, and it was all this other stuff. And I was like, don't you know, sick people go to the hospital. Emotionally fucked up people go to church. Why did you think you was going to find a good man in church? Why do you think that? I can't hear you.
I said, but you can.
You can find a good man anywhere. But to specifically seek out the church, here's the thing. The likelihood of you finding somebody that's fucked off in the church is probably higher because of the concentration of fucked up people in church. Say something. You can say it. I can't hear you. You just shaking your head. All right, Sporty, I must be talking to myself because I cannot hear you. So I'm going to move it right on along with her audio right now. But to read you some of the other things that were coming up in the chat room is that, oh, my boy's sister got excommunicated from Jehovah's Witnesses. She said it was the best day in her life. Everybody that I know that have left that religion seems to be much happier than they were when they were in it. And then Big West said, that is what I have an issue with. Too many people engage with the religious salad bar. And then we hear church is made up of humans. And I absolutely agree. We lost Sporty. We'll get her back in a second. In the meantime, in between time, let me share some. Hey, girl.
Hey, girl.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
All right. You know what time it is?
Girl. Because the way I'm feeling right now, I feel parched, so it must be time for a lovely little drink.
Yeah, they keep talking about me in chat because they said, how's she going to ask a question and take a sip? Well, I'm going to give you guys all an opportunity to take a sip, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to talk about all these different religions, what their doctrine is, what their holy book is, and some of what what it is about them. Okay. And Rocky Miller has just joined us, so we'll bring him in right after we do the drink. I'm sure he gonna have something to say about it. Our producer has done it again. She never fails to bring the heat with the drink of the week. And this week our drink is called Blushing Angel. No, not you. All right, take it away, Dan.
Hey everybody, tonight's drink of the week is called Blushing Angel. Tonight's drink of the week, we're going to use 1.5 ounces of red Dubonnet, 5 ounces of chilled sparkling wine, some cranberry juice, and a lemon for a twist. And what we're going to do with this is we're going to pour the red Dubonnet and a splash of cranberry juice in a martini glass. And then we're going to top it off with the sparkling wine and garnish with the lemon twist. And there you have it, Blushing Angel. All right, guys, be safe. Enjoy. Drink responsibly. I'll see you next week.
When you can't get your body please, you need some love when your tension ease. What's that?
Body heat. All right.
I look good.
Dubonnet. I don't even know what Dubonnet is. Hey, Rocky Miller.
What's up?
Hey, Rocky.
Thank you for joining us.
Well, this is one of my pet peeves you guys are talking about.
Oh, really? Do share. Please tell. Sharing is caring.
I just think organized religion is one of the most. It's built its back on the exploitation of people, and you can see that it's throughout history that is the case. Now, I'm not disparaging believers in any way, but I'm just organized. It's taking it to the people, and in many cases, it's been all over the globe where they've shared this religion and robbed the native people of the country blind. And so, for that reason, I believe it's it's used for exploitation, and I think more people should intellectually, how can I say, explore the origin of religion, where it comes from, why we practice the way we practice, and who's really behind it.
Right. But that's the interesting thing that I find about religion, though, Rocky, is that organized religion and people who follow these religions is that they follow very blindly. Again, I'll pick on Christians because that's something that I know the most about, but I'll talk about some of the other stuff too. Is that they refer to themselves as the flock. The flock are sheep. Sheep are dumb. They just follow along blindly. And your pastor is the shepherd. So he's leading all you dumb sheep around, and you're okay with referring to yourself as a sheep.
Yeah.
That's how indoctrinated into the bullshit that people are, that they don't even recognize that what they're referring to themselves as is derogatory and does not give them credit for having good sense.
Well, you got to understand that there's no religion out there that I know of that really inspires you to think. Most religions only validate what their beliefs are. They don't give you any intellectual freedom to explore why we do what we do. And with power that we have as humans, why would we get ourselves to in a practice that asks us not to think?
Okay.
And just believe what someone says.
Okay. Now, I don't know what you communicating with us on, but you breaking up. You're a little bit choppy. So you looking like
okay.
Okay. It got better. It got better
now.
Okay. But you know what? There are some religions that do focus on self-awareness. It does focus on things other than outside of yourself, because what most religions, as you refer to, they force people to focus on things outside of themselves. Like in some way, shape, or form, they have no control over what happens in the world or in their life. That they're just somehow haphazardly moving about the cabin and shit just happens. You know what I mean? Like nothing is by design or is authored by you as the person based on the decisions that you make. We've had the conversations before about how I think that whole concept of free will is bullshit. You know what I mean? Shannon and I have gone back and forth, you know, and verbally sparred about that for the longest, because I'm like, free will. Free means free. There's no penalty. There's no cost. There's no charge. So if I have free will, then why is it that, oh, but if you don't do this, then you go to hell if you do this. So the choice isn't really free, because there's a consequence if you don't choose this other thing over here. So it's really not free. We just telling you, you got a choice, but guess what? You know, and people are like, well, the choice is free. You know, you're free to choose. Right. And I'm like, not really, because that's under duress. The duress of either I'm going to hell if I do this. But the biggest rub is that everything that you aren't supposed to do is against your natural proclivities. So it's like a big fucking joke.
I mean, again, Key, I just think when you think about religion, you have to be restricted so that they can reward you with something. But as being free human beings, there are no restrictions. That's what I believe.
You shouldn't be.
Life.
Right. How can you tell me?
Happiness.
Right. How can you tell me on Sunday that I am the child of, you know, the Almighty, and I'm supposed to have abundance and this, that, and the other, but every 5 minutes you pass in the collection plate to get my damn money? Or if I drive up in a certain kind of car or I dress a certain way, y'all looking at me, or you counting my ties and you doing all this other stuff. You know, it's like, okay, if I'm supposed to have abundance, why am I frowned upon for having it? Or you constantly trying to be in my pocket to get it? But you know, if I'm supposed to be, if you're all these abundance preachers that are teachers or however you want to be out there, most of their congregation is living below the poverty level, but they're living high off the hog. You know, Creflo Dollar asking people to buy him or get him another damn jet when half the people in his congregation can't afford their goddamn rent.
Well, that's a whole nother, you know, that's a whole nother area.
Let us kind of, you brought up something earlier about human nature, and you kind of brought it up in a way about a lot of things about religion are totally opposite to what human nature is, right? But there are also some things that are very much part of human nature that churches provide. I believe as humans, we are social beings, right? So what is the first thing they do in church? They make you part of something. They appeal to your psychological need to be part of something. I think that, but you got, again, they not only make it appeal to your need, but they burn it in your brain that you have to be part of something. Nothing. So again, they feed off your human nature on one hand. I mean, they get you to deny your human nature on one hand. They feed on it on another, and then transpose it, flip it, and make it about whatever the doctrine is that you. Because you don't have to be part of a church to belong to something. You can belong to your family. You can belong to a religion. I mean, you can belong to a club, group, what have you. They don't offer any other option. I want to say I'm not Bible scripture, but what I will say, they say the only only answer, only way is through me, or something like that. They give you no way out. Now you know and I know that there are many ways to be happy. There are many ways to live happy. But they tell you the only real happiness, the only really way to get fulfillment in this life is through religion. And I think intellectually, that's dishonest.
And I'll talk about
for someone to say that.
I'll talk about the intellectual component in just a moment. Sporty was trying to jump in there and say something.
No, what I was going to say is that, you know, where you lose a lot of that in the membership, you know, with people, and like you were talking about with Creflo and Taffy and these other ministers and the people who are giving of their tithes and offerings, you know, they have a process for that. You know, they check these people's backgrounds and W-2s and work history, and if they can actually afford to be a member of these congregations, you know, and if they can afford to pay that 10% of their tithing, and if they're actually doing that, you know, and sowing that particular seed and keeping up with the money that they're running. You know, the church organizations, those are businesses, whether it's the storefront church or if it's the big mega churches. Mm-hmm. Those are businesses that are being run collecting those dollars.
Here's the problem I have with it. I fully understand that a church is a business, and I accept that. They're selling something that they can't deliver on.
Exactly. That's my issue.
That's really,
yeah.
That's
exactly.
my issue with it.
Exactly. And
there are many people, tithes, paying offerings, and all that are miserable because they're not living their truth, right? They're being told things, they're being asked to conform to a certain standard that isn't their truth.
Exactly.
And so the tithe and offerings becomes a sacrifice for that person so that they can fit in and be accepted amongst the group.
But let's circle back to that intellectual component. If you notice, the more intelligent, or I should say, the more educated people become, the less likely are they to be religious. Right? If you think about the earlier generations who didn't have the higher levels of education, where they had things at their access, where they can see that this shit just don't make no sense, right? And then you get the next generations and the next generations and the next generations who are exposed to other things and are able to see things that they were not otherwise exposed to were it not for that higher education. And they start to question everything that they have been taught. They're more inclined to be like, yeah, not so much. Because they understand that there has to be some level of reason to go along with all of this stuff. Now, are they atheists? No, I wouldn't say that. But are they agnostic? More than likely, yes. Go ahead, Sporty. I mean, Rocky, and then Sporty.
No. I actually forgot the point I was going to make, but I think it's because you covered it. But go right ahead.
Okay, go ahead, Sporty.
No, I was just going to say, you know, they're losing what the purpose in giving the tithes and offerings. You know, it gets to the point where people are starting to say, well, okay, I've contributed all of this to the building fund, but we still don't have a building. And when you finally get to the point where, you know, okay, I've been in this organization for over 40 years and we're still in the same building, you know, some places it messes up where some places really do have a new structure and some places really are having, you know, this program to help their homeless people or feed their people, you know, once a week, or have this program for their children, you know, or this children's church or whatever the organization or thing is. Some of these things really are in place. And my point is, you know, it's not all or nothing. You know, you see more of the negative that's coming across than you see of the positive that goes through there, because you do have them where people do have their money and things going to these organizations that show what's working in these structures, so that the things that are making you uncomfortable, Rocky, or where it's your pet peeve, you know, they do have them in place, or it is paying off. And even though they belong to these, you know, places where people want to fit in, there is a reason for them to belong there, because it is serving a purpose and it's a benefit to it.
I just want to know who actually really benefits in the long run. But I'm not just going to continue to beat up on Christianity, because that's pretty much where we're going at this point. We're beating up on Christianity. I mean, there are hundreds of religions. Christianity just happens to be the largest of them all, you know, next to Islam, you know. And I think that I had some information that I pulled up. I had pulled up this big chart of religion, right? And so it's like religions from like let's see what this is. From A all the way down to Z, you know, including Wicca, because that is a religion, Rastafarianism, you know, all of that stuff that are in here, and what they believe, what their gods are, if they have any, what the meaning of life is for them, if there's a so-called afterlife, what their practices are, what their religious texts are. And you know, it's just interesting to me that, like, if I look at Buddhism, right, and it's based on the teachings from like 520 BC, right? Okay. And there are 360 million followers of Buddhism. Now, in terms of their gods, it varies, right? It can, you know, some of them, they're polytheistic, I'll put it like that, right? Because Buddha taught that there's nothing that's permanent, like life is fluid, right? Right. And the meaning of life is to avoid suffering and gain enlightenment and release from the cycle of rebirth, or at least attain a better rebirth by gaining merit. And so in terms of afterlife, their doctrine is that life is a journey and death is a return to the earth. The universe is like an end. The passing years are like dust. Regard this phantom world as a star at dawn, a bubble in the stream, a flash of lightning in the summer cloud, a flickering lamp, a phantom, and a dream. So basically, we're living this life. We're just basically checked in right now. When you die, you check out, right? But enjoy it while you're there. Avoid suffering while you're there, and gain all the enlightenment that you can. And some of the practices are meditation, mantras. You know, some of them have, you know, devotion to certain deities or whatever, depending on the different sects, you know, that they have. But, you know, for me, I think, you know, I take a little bit from all of the ones that don't force us to look without, you know what I mean? Look outside the window instead of looking inside. You know what I mean? Does that make sense to you guys?
So in essence, you're saying that if you have, I'm sorry, go ahead, Rocky.
No, what I was saying is what she's saying is, and this is kind of flow into my point, is that the relevant aspect of spirituality is the individual. That's the part that I think she's saying. Those religions that focus on the individual itself and the individual becoming as much as they can be within the lifetime that they have, the lifespan they have, is the religions that you gravitate to, right? And I think in a weird kind of way is that is a true religion in this regard. Our true purpose for being here is to advance the I hate to sound all philosophical or anything, but it's to advance the life and improve the lifestyle for human beings. That's why we're here, to push the ball, to push the envelope, to continue to move the ball forward for And so that's why we're here. Now, is that because we come back in a different life and we get to live lives over and over and over again? Who knows? I'm not going to go there. But I believe I believe that humans are the happiest when they are empowering one another and improving the lives. That's when we're most happy. Okay. We're not most happy when we have each other in bondage and are restricting one another. I think that causes conflict and destruction are in place.
And separating each other. We separate each other.
So I just want to bring this point up. I just want to bring this point up about, and there's nothing that we can sell that was created 4,000 years ago that we can sell today worth a dime. There's nothing, probably other than gold. There's nothing that we created 4,000 years ago that you can put on the market and someone would buy right now. The reason why is because we've pushed the ball as a species so much, we've outlived a lot of those archaic, your sundial, whether it be a number of deals that we've pushed the ball along the way that we no longer are. And so I'm not saying religion is not useful. I'm just saying it is definitely due for an update.
Yeah, definitely an upgrade. Sporty.
Yeah. What I was going to say, even in his last statement, with you get more than what's materialistic from what you're saying, Rocky. So no, you can't buy something physically from what was in there, 4,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago. But what you get from it is something totally different. Everybody gets something different from what is presented in there. Everybody gets something different, So what you get versus what I would have or what someone else would get is totally different.
So let me ask you this case, because this is a logical question. This is just a logical question.
Okay.
If ultimately what I get out of it is just for me, right?
Yeah.
Do I have to go there to get it?
Why not?
Why won't it come?
I think that.
Hey, why can't it come to me in the place that I get it? What does that matter?
Right. I agree. Why do I have to go to this one place to get something that's supposed to be for me in the first place? Why doesn't it manifest itself for me in a place in my space?
It's the notion. It's the same notion as the fable, as the fountain of youth, right? That there's this place where we all can be young again, right? We know that's foolish to look for this, to spend our whole life looking for the fountain of youth to find out that it does not exist, right?
Yes,
right.
We go up.
Plastic surgery.
Huh?
I'm joking. I said, yes, it does. Plastic surgery. I'm joking. I kid.
No, my point is, my point, and I think religious or whatever, is I believe that if preachers, rabbis, whoever, deities, whatever you want to call them, ask people to look for their true happiness within them, within the person, right? That's where happiness truly lies. You Sporty, you KiKi, and I'm pretty sure you, Chan, have never been able to find happiness, true happiness, outside of yourself.
And they're not teaching you to find it outside of yourself either.
What they teaching you? I didn't hear the last of what you said, Sporty.
I said no one's teaching you to find it outside of yourself. If you can't find,
but don't they say seek the Lord? Don't get frustrated.
I mean, yeah, I get frustrated because it just seems like it's so out of context. I don't seek my happiness outside of myself. Everything that I need is within me. Just because I'm listening to my pastor or I'm reading from somewhere, or I'm gaining knowledge from this book or that one, or reading for myself, or getting information, or listening to this person or that person, doesn't mean that everything that I need is not in myself. It's not in here.
But Sporty, you're talking about you're talking about you, Sporty. We're not talking about you specifically. This isn't personal or pointed towards Sporty. We're talking about the overall, the mass. That's why I'm saying relax. It's not about you. It's
but
about
I mean,
the
I'm
mass
not the only
and
one
the
who
perception.
either.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm not the only one who believes. I'm not the only one that sits in a church and believes this either.
I'm not saying that you are, but I'm talking about the masses. We don't argue for the exception. We argue for we're talking about the rule. And if all the exceptions were the rule, you know, then they would be the rule and not the exception. The point is that a lot of times people are going to church to find something that they feel like they can't find someplace on their own. Right. And the reality of the situation is, when Rocky was speaking about the fact that I gravitate toward religions or beliefs that are about self-awareness, bringing about, you know, being the best you can be, so that you can be the best servant and of service to the mass.
Humanity.
Those are the ones.
Humanity.
Right. That's what I gravitate to, because I believe wholeheartedly that if, let's just use, you know, some talking points, let's just say from Christianity, that if I am made in the image of God, I don't need anything other than that. I am empowered with everything right now as I speak in this moment. It is up to me to search and find and use those things that I have been given. Go ahead, Rocky.
No, here's my question, right? Here's this. This is just a completely intellectual question, right? If the greatest pope in the world, is privy to the information that heaven nor hell exists, right? Right? Heaven or hell does not exist, right? The high pope. So what happens to all the temples, the monies, the cathedrals, the Vatican? What happens to all of that? So here's my point. Here's my point in saying that. At the end of the day, no matter what the entity is, whether it be religion or government, the job is to exist. And that's at the expense of the people or not. If it's either the people or the entity will choose itself all the time. Remember that. So what you're saying, Sporty, true for you, and I'm not arguing that point. But my point is, let's all agree that the number one job of the church is not to save souls. The number one job of the church is to exist. The church is an organism that needs life. And the lifeblood of the church are people and money. And it has to have that in order to live on. So whether they do it for reasons of honesty and character, or whether they do it at the detriment of the people, it does not matter. The number one job of that organism is to exist, and they'll suck the life out of anything so that it continues to exist.
Let me ask you this, since you just touched on this, about it being an organism and it needs people and money in order to survive. So your thought is, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that organized religion is a mechanism that is just a big business entity in and of itself? Because I got a two-part question on that.
Absolutely. I believe it's a big. I believe it's bigger than a big. To say it's a business is understating it. Is what I'm saying.
So my question is this big fight for the church, for separation of church and state, right? If you don't want to be a business, don't behave like a business. And so if you're going to behave like a business, you should be forced to deal with and pay all the same and be held to the same standard as other businesses. We talked about this on last week's show when we were talking about the fact that, one of the hot button tickets in this election is, should churches still be able to keep their nonprofit status? For tax purposes and things of that nature. And I think that there should be stringent laws and there should be stringent protocols, because these churches are acting as businesses disguised under the nonprofit status under the nonprofit status. And it's unfortunate because the only people that are prospering are not the members of the church.
True. Well,
like bait and switch.
For a lot of reasons, right?
You breaking up, Rocky. Can you hear him?
But the purpose, no, he is breaking up. But a lot, the purpose.
I don't think they should not be taxed.
Rocky, we can't hear you. You breaking up.
Testing 1, 2. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Mm-hmm.
No, I believe churches should not be taxed. That's what I believe.
Why?
Well, here's why I believe that. Because in government kind of running parallel with one another, if the government is out to tax the church, that means that the government then is eating out of both sides of its mouth. Meaning that at a certain point, the government can use the arm of religion to further its cause. Not that it doesn't already, but it can directly do it if you put a taxation on the church. Use the arm of because the bigger the church, the more money it brings into the government.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? So you create there's built-in conflict of interest. So in that case, you have an even greater influence.
But where's the oversight though? Where is the oversight for these churches that are not?
This is your oversight. I believe that individuals must have intellect.
But they're not using that because they're going off faith, because they've been socialized, right? They've been socialized. So it's so ingrained in them from the date that they were born. God is great. God is good. Let's thank you for our food. Amen. You know what I mean? Say your prayers. God bless mommy. God bless daddy. And look out for Rocky too. Amen. Right? From the time that you're little, it is ingrained in you. God bless you. You see,
absolutely.
It's these little things. So again, it's very hard to change that patterning, that programming for people, because what you're doing, and then we got to go to Sporty because she has something she wants to say. Because what you're doing is you're forcing somebody to totally erase their entire belief system and rewrite it. That's why people get so defensive. Hold on, Rocky. That's why people get so defensive when you challenge their religious beliefs, because their belief system is based on their religious structure and some other things along with that life script. So when you telling them, you come to them and you like, that don't make no sense. Sporty, you all right?
I'm fine. No, I was just gonna say, when you make the point that the church is not making the parishioners rich, that's like saying, I'm putting my money in a bank account, but I'm not getting rich. Chase is not making me rich, or Bank of America is not making me rich. The purpose of the church is not to make me wealthy. The purpose of me paying my tithes and offering to the church is not for me to get a financial gain from the church. And I hear what you're saying. I see, the fruits of my labor that I put in there. You know what I'm saying? And I see, from a parishioner standpoint, and I see from being a first family standpoint, being a preacher's daughter standpoint, and what it takes to have to run a church and maintain that building and maintain what goes on in that church. So I see both sides of that, you know. So it's not just, you know, and then, you know, you have people who have bereavement. You have people whose families need things when things come up in their stuff, and we have to be available to take care of those needs when they come up, and we're able to meet those.
But aren't those for those smaller churches? Because these bigger churches, these parishioners never get an opportunity to get those services to them. They got to damn near jump through fiery hoops and run through razor blade hell with gasoline draws on.
Some of them, that's what I'm saying. Some of that stuff is in place for them. It's in place, but they don't get a chance to use it. That's not always true. That's what I'm saying. There's a, you know, yes, sometimes it's not available to them, of course. But yeah, there are some where it is available to them.
But Sporty, let me say something, because I think you have a valid point, and I just want to make this same. Okay, I believe that, I hope anyway, that most pastors who operate as the head of a church are not doing it in a dishonest fashion. I believe that most of them are doing it that I know are operating hand to mouth. They can barely provide any services for their parishioners. So I understand that not everyone is in the business to get rich, and no, not everyone does get rich. So I think I'm not really talking about those guys. What I'm talking about is the burden that is thrust on the people to undergird. That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about. And for those pastors who are doing a good job and feeding the hungry and not taking a salary and providing, subsidizing bereavement costs and all that kind of stuff, for those guys out there, kudos to them, and they are heroes in the community. But I don't think they're like that because of their religion. I think they're like that because they're just good dudes.
I get what you're saying. And on that note, though, let's just think about here in America, right? I mean, again, there are hundreds and hundreds of religions, and we have fanatics and we have extremes on either end, right? We have people who take advantage of their flock, right? And then we have some people who are so extreme, like David Koresh and all of them, who created their whole little sect, and then they killed all the people, you know what I mean? And so there are extremes on all sides, right?
Right. My
question is that at some point, as we begin to become more evolved, and one of the things that separate us from animals is our ability to reason, and our opposable thumb. So if we're able to reason and understand concepts, why do we still hold so tightly to these texts, right? That we know, one, are outdated, two, incomplete, three, damn near impossible to live by.
Can I say something about that?
Oh, shit.
Okay.
Is that God herself?
But the reason why people hold on to these texts and these beliefs is because they don't have anything else to hold on to. When their lives go in a particular order or particular fashion, and you can go back into the history books, and it's something that I always say, there's nothing new underneath the sun. And when you go back into text and you see that your situation is in a book that was written how many years ago, no matter who it's written by, somebody went through the exact same thing, it's relatable. It is, maybe I can go off of this text to help me whatever helped them, maybe it could help me, because it's got to be some truth to it, because it would happen 3,000 years ago, and here it is, 2016, and it's still happening to me.
I beg to differ, because caller ID didn't get King David caught up with Bathsheba. I went through his iPhone and saw her naked pictures, or nothing like that. So
no, but King David did go past one of his rooms and saw a naked concubine off to the side and said, "Do I take her today or not?" So it was some nakedness going on.
No, I completely understand what you're saying, and I was just gonna say something similar, Chan, is that, do you know how much our civilization and humanity has invested in organized religion? Do you know what it would mean to humanity if there was no religion? Religion and the advancement of religion and the advancement of government are parallel. If you look at,
of course,
if you look at, they're parallel. They're almost
absolutely, yeah. They are.
They're almost, they advance at almost the same rate, and they're spread at almost the same rate. And so again, religion is used out and I don't want to disparage anybody's religion. Religion is used to control the people. That's what.
Control people? Is that what you said?
Control people, yes.
Control.
Of course. Of course.
Because Sporty,
so much fear.
Here's
why do you think it's laced with so much fear and so much backlash? You know?
Sporty, I wanna bring this up because it's very important to me, right? That they use every Bible.
I can't understand him. He's breaking up on me.
Enslavement of black people. Oh, I'm sorry.
Time out, Rocky. I can't understand. Okay, go again. Say it again now.
I said the same Bible they use in your church is the same Bible they use to justify the enslavement of black people.
Of a lot of
people. They justified exterminating the Indians. It's the same Bible they took to Africa to raid them of their natural resources. The same Bible they used to do some of the most savage things all over this globe. And me, black man, or any kind of man, right? How can I say that this Bible, missing 43 books, is true and complete and is the word of God?
I have never said that the Bible is complete.
That's not what
that's
not really what I'm asking. I'm asking week after week, Sunday after Sunday, what my question is, how can you, not that I haven't, not that I won't, ever again without acknowledging that that is the case. And intellectually, when I go into church from here on out, I go in there looking for the fruits of what will make me better individually, not for some magic spirit to change my life. That's how I feel about it. Because I believe religion in no way is all bad.
No.
It's all bad.
No.
There's some real powerful things that preachers and religious men speak on every day with great authority and tremendous amount of insight. I'm just saying organized religion is probably not for me.
I think here's the thing. I think part of the issue here is that anytime something grows to such a great size, right? And you're dealing with human beings. You're going to deal with human being flaws. You're going to deal with those things of greed. You're going to deal with those issues of people insecurity, their insecurities, and they're wanting to, you know, this person to be better, one up that person. Of course, we're going to deal with all of those things. The question I think that I have more than anything is that if we know all of these things about the institution, right? Right. And we understand all of those things, why do we continue on that path? If we know, like Rocky said, intellectually, that religion was given to us to quote unquote pacify us for those people who were enslaved over here, right? Or enslaved historically. Religion was something that was given to them as a pacifier so that they can continue to do what the higher ups wanted them to do, because, you know, oh, heaven, you know, have this won't last always. Heaven, you know, you got the afterlife to look forward to and all these other things, right? Because that's not just Christianity. That's, you know, a lot of religions believed in the afterlife. So if you have all of these things to look forward to, it's like, okay, I can get past this. If we know that all of that was to pacify us, to keep us suppressed, why do we continue to follow and fight for it so vigorously?
You're asking me that question?
I'm asking both of y'all that question. I'll start with Sporty. I'll start with Sporty on the answer because she's been kind of quiet.
So my answer to that question would be this. My reason for continuing to participate the way I do is, even though there are things missing, even though things have happened that have been completely negative, completely against what I believe in and stand for, you know, there are still some things that are good. Nothing is 100% perfect in this life, in that book, and other books that give me knowledge that's missing from the book that they practice from. There are other things that we learn that are not just from the Bible. You know, there is more to going to church than that one book. That's not what I base everything that I learn, go for, or anything is not just based on what's in that book.
Is it the community?
You know, it's a combination of everything. It's a combination of the community, you know, the fellowship, the worship service. It's a combination of everything that I do when I'm there. It's not just what's in the book. And I read for myself to get an understanding. I research for myself. The Bible is not the only place that I go to research and do things. You know, the story of Jesus has been told many, many times before. That's not the first time it's been told. Right. Heard, okay. You know, so it's not just that. There's more to it.
All right, Rocky.
No, I just think it goes back to, and you may question this theory, but I just think if you are taught something very young and you are raised to believe that, and you have spent Sunday after Sunday, Wednesday after Wednesday, Monday after Monday, then you are truly indoctrinated into that society. And coupled with the fact that you get a lot of individual social and emotional fulfillment from the experience of sharing energy with people. I will say, other than large sporting events, there is no other exchange of energy like that amongst people, like other than church. Church and a sport gathering are the two things that the energy is that thick sometimes that you can feel the presence of every soul in the building or in the place.
Because they're all focused on one thing. Because they're focused on one thing.
Yes. Yes.
But here's the thing. What we have to do is think about it in terms of focusing on other one things. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Focus on other one things. And we don't do that. We spend a whole lot of energy on those two things, neglecting all of the other things where that can be prosperous. In the chat room, they're saying that that's why I said that Black folks should have left Christian religion on the plantation. The Universal Church of Kingdom of God is the most exploit-laden organization on the planet. I don't know much about it, so I can't say. Churches are holding us back, and ignorant Blacks don't even realize it. I see what is funny is that organized religion. What I see is funny is that organized religion is based off, well, not all organized religion, but I think they meant Christianity is based off the teachings of a carpenter who was a pauper and never asked for money. He only asked you to listen, have faith, and to give. And the Vatican is the richest city on earth. And that's what I think a lot of people take issue with the whole prosperity preaching kind of thing, because it's like that wasn't about the teachings of Jesus Christ, who you claim that you're following, and that you want people to accept into their lives. It wasn't about materialistic things. And that's all it has become about prosperity for material things, not prosperity for your spirit, for your energy, for your, for your health, for your, the betterment of you. And I said, which is about the individual being the best version of themselves. That's what those teachings were about. Jesus wasn't the only one. If you read, anything, you'll find out that Jesus wasn't the only one in his time that were having the same conversations. You had other prophets or wise men or whatever that were speaking and teaching the same things in different areas. I don't know what that means. Oh, look, right, exactly. Right. I'm getting to that. Right. And so they were all teaching the same message about you being the highest version of yourself. And the highest version of yourself is the expression of, as Rocky was putting it, love. Mm-hmm. Right. That is the source that we all have to plug into in order to get, that the best of ourselves. And I think that some people, when we say look outside of ourselves, they're looking to get that connection through, through God or through Allah or through Jehovah or through, whatever, as opposed to saying, you know what, I am a physical manifestation of that. And me being an extension of that, then I can express it in every way possible to each and every person I come in contact with.
Right.
And I don't think that we're doing that.
Preacher, preach.
I am an ordained minister. Don't get twisted. Right. Don't forget, I am an ordained minister. The fact of the matter is that is the ultimate source. I refer to that source as the universe. I don't refer to it as God. I don't Jehovah, Allah, anybody. Because I think it's overarching. I think it encompasses all of those entities. Right. And so with all of that, the main thing is, like those universal laws, the golden rule is almost in every single religion. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Right. Because it's about self-love. And if you love self, you can love others. You know what I mean? And you tap into that. Why do you think it's not by accident? And I don't want to get too deep before we get into this letter. It's not by accident that your heart is in the middle of your chest, because that is the center by which you need to go to in order to be able to be the fullness of you. You have to center yourself. What's in the center? Your heart.
Let me just say something, and I want to explain to people this. I want to tell you that banks and religion operate the same. They promise to give you something that's already yours, right? And this is how a bank does it, right? If I need a loan, I go to a bank, right? Right? To loan money, right?
Right.
Where does the bank get the money from?
The people.
And also who?
The government. The government.
And where did the government get the money from?
The people.
The people.
And who am I?
A person.
People.
Huh?
Yeah.
It is only used as a conduit to siphon my own wealth from myself. Do you understand how wicked that is?
Oh, I get it. I see the
So
cycle.
can you take the bank situation out and put the person in there? I go to a place to get something that I own and is the creator of for myself. So
I mean,
if somebody can tell me that I can do all things through me.
I mean, the paper is the money.
No. What I'm saying, I'm not talking about money. I'm not talking about the money. I'm talking about what they tell you about you. Because when they catch you, when they bring you out the crack house and bring you to the church, they tell you, Angel, you gotta stop using crack. They don't tell you. You can want to stop using crack all you want to. You can want to not, but until you put the pipe down, God ain't gonna put it down for you.
True.
He's not gonna take it out your hand. He's not gonna crash all the crack, crunch all the crack up and flush it down the toilet for you. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, don't do it either. No.
Who got to do the work? Who has to do the work?
You do.
It all starts with self. And that's just the long and short of it. And I think a lot of what we do as human beings, it's natural for us to want to commune with other people, right? That is something natural about human beings, community. And so I understand to some degree why people go to church to congregate, right? And to fellowship with one another. I get it. However, I also get that I don't need to go to that specific building to be able to do that, because we're doing that right here.
True.
I was gonna sum it up.
Hold on, Rocky. And I ain't asked nan one of y'all for a damn dollar. I ain't asked you to do nothing but be yourself and be the best version of yourselves that you can be.
I done got a few drunks out the deal, but
yeah, you did. I think everybody but me has. But yeah, and that's the thing. When you can, because the only thing that I'm asking of you, and that's the way that I view all of these religions. This is what I think that everybody should be thinking about when they are picking their religion or representing their religion or defending their religion. Ask yourself, what is this religion asking of me? What is this place that I'm going to asking of me? Are they asking me of my material things? Are they asking me of my physical body? Are they asking me to commit fucking what they call it, suicide? You know, am I a suicide bomber? Are they asking me to give up my life? What are they asking me to do? If they're not asking me to be the best version of me, and it doesn't benefit it in any way, shape, or form, that's where you need to be. Be somewhere, and that's with religion, relationships, jobs, whatever. Go somewhere where, regardless of the fact that situation makes you a better person and doesn't want anything other than that from you, than you to be the best person that you can be. That's all I want from you. I don't want your money. I don't want your this. I don't want your that. I don't want your this. Now, if you give it to me, okay, fine. I'll take it and I'll put it to use to empower somebody else, right? But I'm not requiring that of you.
Okay. Because
if we're going to have church, we can have church out in the damn parking lot. We ain't got to have no damn facility that we got to have lights and gas. And we can have a fucking chain video call to have church. We can have a conference call to have church. You know what I mean? We don't need a physical building and cost thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for people to do that.
Amen.
to fellowship with one another, to touch and agree, and to do all these other things. We don't need temples and mosques with all this fancy gold and shit. All of that ain't what is that about? That don't make us better people.
Yeah, like you and I will say this: the church is put on as a one-size-fits-all kind of deal, and I think that's a false perception. That if you have financial issues, you need financial counseling. You need people who are experts in finance. If you're sick, you need people who work in medicine. If you know what I'm saying. And so when the church is put before the people as this fixes everything, I think that's intellectually dishonest, and they shouldn't tell people that. They just should.
Okay. All right.
Go.
With that being said, it's time for our Ask PDA letter. It has nothing to do with our topic today, but it came in, and I need to do it. So, because I want to get your opinion as a man, Rocky.
I am a man.
This letter is actually from a man.
Okay.
All right. So let me go ahead and play this. Yeah, Sporty shaking her head like, Let me play this disclaimer, and then we gonna get this letter out the way. Okay, here we go.
At some point, you will be offended by something said on our show, but Playing Devil's Advocate is meant to be a forum for open, honest, and more importantly, judgment-free dialogue. The opinions expressed here may not necessarily be those of our hosts or the show in general, but we're willing to have the uncomfortable conversations that we can heal and find solutions for our listeners and quite possibly ourselves. Enjoy the rest of the show.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
All right, today's Ask PDA letter is being brought to you by our producer's drink of the week. If you haven't had an opportunity to check out Blushing Angel, please go on over to facebook.com/Playing Devil's Advocate. Click the link, try out the drink, and let Cluz and Chan know what you think. This letter actually came to me on the heels of a video that I did yesterday. I've been doing my Knowledge is Key series, and the first week I did the Finish the Job, Reasons You Should Swallow and Not Spit. And this week I did Why Your Relationship Sucks, Relationship Killers. And I was talking about one of the relationship killers that are that makes us sexually incompatible, being sexually incompatible with your mate can be a relationship killer, right? So this gentleman actually posted on the thread privately and asked me, hey, well, what do you do if you don't want to have sex with your partner because they cheated on you, right? And so I said, if you're having sex with somebody that you don't want to have sex with, that's a problem in and of itself. Secondly, that person who cheated needs to be patient and understand that they're the ones who broke the trust. So they just gonna have to fall on their sword at this point. And then thirdly, you need to talk about why they cheated so that the pattern doesn't happen again. So then they followed up and said to me, well, KiKi, because I want to make sure I'm not lying, so I'm going to read exactly what they said to me. And I want to see what you guys have to say about it. They said, what if that person was cheating on you for 4 months? Would you try to work it out, or should you let that go? So me being who I am, I asked a couple of questions, and I want to get you guys' opinion on this. How long were you together? How'd you find out? And what was the reason for cheating? They said to me they were together 7 years. The reason for cheating was saying that she said that he didn't pay her enough attention. And they found out because she got arrested with the dude. So I'm going to give you my opinion on all of this. You've been with this woman for 7 years. She been cheating on you for 4 months with a dude that don't give a rat's ass enough about her to keep her out of harm's way, that she doesn't get arrested. Fuck, what kind of fuck boy is she hanging with? Right? So my question to you, if you more invested in the time in this relationship or the fact that you are in a relationship, then do whatever you can to resolve it. Because I'm never the one to tell anybody to leave somebody they're with. But if you want to be happy, and if you want to be able to feel secure in your relationship, and you want to be intimately close to your partner, then you have that decision should be easily made. Rocky, let me ask you as a man. You found out you've been with somebody for 7 years, and you found out they had cheated on you, and the way you found out was because she got arrested with the dude. I'm melting over here. But you try to work it out.
I mean, I'm gonna say out the top, yes, I would. I mean, because I love her, hopefully, but I don't necessarily, consider cheating like the ultimate sin, like some people do. So I mean,
what's the ultimate sin?
I mean, clearing out my bank account would be the ultimate sin.
Okay, so you value money. Oh, okay, all right.
No. It's not that I value money. I value trust and loyalty and caring for me. And I think if you were to empty my bank account out, that would show that you don't have any desire for me to care for you to care for me or care for myself.
But what about sex? You put your life in danger having sex with somebody, because sex is a weapon these days. It can be a deadly weapon.
I mean, we can swab it out and see if everything's okay, and we'll be all right,
Swab out your pee-pee part?
No. My point is, medically, we can make sure everything is okay.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
You're okay that you can't come back from her stealing all your money, but you can come back from her cheating on you and putting your.
Yeah. I just think, I think that they're cheating. That's anyway. Okay. I don't necessarily consider that one of those deadly sins, because I think none of us are completely lifelong monogamous anyway. So somebody had sex with somebody else.
Another show. For you guys that are in the chat room, please let me know if you found out your girl had been sleeping with somebody cheating on you for 4 months. You've been with her for 7 years. Would you do everything that you can to work out this relationship? And if so, what would you do? That's my next part 2 question to you, Rocky. What would you do to save the relationship? But I'm going to Sporty first to find out if she would stay.
Yes. Yes, I would.
Why?
If my heart was invested and I cared enough about this person, and they were willing to work it out as well, I would work it out, and I would work it out with them so that we could maintain our relationship.
Okay. Now I'm gonna come back to you, Rocky. Why would you work it out? Well, how would you work it out? How?
Well, I'll first try to find out, do we have a problem in our relationship? Because I don't think cheating is necessarily an indication that fundamentally me and her we have a problem in our relationship. It may be a fundamental issue of what she needs, and so we could work that out.
Okay.
I just think when you talk about, like I said, when you talk about cheating, there's the distrust is the issue that we got to iron out, not the physical somebody beating your back out, because that ain't really nothing you can take back or nothing like that. You got to get to the point to where, why were you hiding doing this? Because at the end of the day, here's the big deal: when a woman is cheating, right, that may be her guy, that may be her dude that she want to be with. So you got to get to the
Wait, what?
What I'm saying is, you asking the dude you're asking me whether if someone was cheating with me, whether I'd take them back. But if they the one out there doing it, right, you got to look at it. Do they want you back? Do they want to get back? Why? Because they're out there for a reason now. I believe that.
Okay.
They're out there for a reason. I'm just saying.
Okay.
You don't necessarily you don't necessarily assume
I
that, you know.
I hear what you're saying. Sporty.
We would discuss it, iron out all of the details specifically.
Would you have to know all the details?
Let's just say we would answer all of what was unanswered to make sure we covered the bases. I wouldn't have to necessarily know all of the specific details, like, you know, how, what, when, where, and all of that shit. But we would work it out and get to the point where we wouldn't have to discuss it anymore, so we could just move on and continue to work on our future and go forward. And be
that's the deal. Whether you guys have to decide whether you want to be together or not. That's
right. We
would want to be together.
Okay, I would definitely say, which is why I said to the person, 1, how long have you been together? 2, how did you find out? And 3, what was the reason? Because if you haven't,
3 is hard.
If you haven't been together that long, there's nothing invested. So it's very easy to cut your losses and walk away, right?
Mm-hmm.
In some situations. 2, how did you find out? Were they just being messy as hell? And, you know, wasn't even trying to hide the shit? You know what I mean? Or did you just happen upon the information like this person did?
She was arrested and got busted. Did you say
she happened to get arrested with this dude, and, you know, clearly it all came out in the wash. And 3, what was the reason for cheating? You didn't pay her enough attention. So my question is to ask yourself honestly and truthfully, were you actually paying her enough attention? You know what I mean? Like, she didn't make that up in her head. Was there actually something that wasn't happening that you were not making her a priority, as I mentioned in the video, in your relationship, and not giving her that quality time that she required? Were you not listening to her when she was telling you she needed more?
Right.
You know,
right.
Is this something that you need to work on with you so that you can be able to hear her and listen to her so that you can provide her with the needs that she has? And if you're not willing to do all of those things and understand and accept your part in this, you know what I mean? But if you are spending time with her and you doing whatever and she just use that as an excuse, kick her ass to the curb, because she'll line up and she's going to do it again.
True.
Yeah, you are absolutely right, Keith, because that other person may require something that you just don't have.
Yep. Or something you're just not willing to give.
Well, I mean, that's the same damn thing, right?
No. Because I can have it. I can have the capacity to provide it to you. I just don't want to. Let's use Cousin Shan, for example. She has the capacity to be a good girlfriend. She just has no desire to be a girlfriend. Or a wife, for that matter. You see what I'm saying?
I mean, you said good girlfriend. Does she want to be a bad girlfriend?
No, because she doesn't want to be one, she would be a bad one.
I mean, I'm sure. Because
her level of openness to the idea of it or the situation isn't there. So getting into that situation, it would not be a good situation. He's not going to get what he needs because she ain't really interested in giving it to him. And I'm not slamming Chan. I'm not putting her on blast. And I'm sure she probably commenting in chat herself, probably saying, you're damn right, you know, some crazy shit like that. But excuse me, that's the reality of the situation. But you know, people have, you know, the capacity to do things that they just, you know, are not willing to do.
She said, damn right.
You see, told you. Told you. So again, to the person who wrote that question into us, you know, you have Sporty and Rocky saying, you know what, try to work it out, see what it is. But the reality is, first things first, find out if y'all even want to be with one another.
Right.
I would definitely say take sex off the table.
What?
No, he needs to take sex off the table because he's only doing it as a chore at this point. He doesn't want to have sex.
He don't have no desire to do it. Oh, okay.
Right, because of that whole, she been sleeping with somebody else.
Hey, I'll just say this. If he take it off the table, you got to accept the fact that you setting a landmine up there.
No, because here's the thing. Here's the reality of the situation. If she's genuinely interested in reconciling and rebuilding that trust with him and wanting to make him feel secure that that's something that she's not interested in going into ever again, she will respect that decision. She's the one who broke his trust. She's the one that needs to build it back up. And she's going to have to be patient and give him the time and the space to be able to feel comfortable to do that again. Because if it were the other way around and he was the one that cheated on her, she wouldn't, and she didn't want to have sex with him, she would want him to be patient with her. I'm not there yet.
I'm just saying playing that sex game is kind of real tough. That's all.
It's not playing a sex game. What I'm saying is playing the sex game would be having sex with somebody you don't want to have sex with.
I dig that. But that, to me, that would be an indication that you really don't want to be with the person.
Maybe not right now. I'm still hurt. I still don't trust you. There's still a lot of pain. You have to give a person an opportunity to grow past that. And sex ain't gonna make it better. Especially if I'm picturing you with his dick in your mouth with his balls up against your chin. You know what I'm saying? That's not gonna make
it. I would imagine that she'd had that before she was with him.
Maybe the universe didn't want me to hear that because you broke up. Right, Sporty?
No.
She's muted right now. The universe intervened. They didn't want me to hear that. Speaking of the universe, tonight's conversation has been about losing our religion, and we've gone on a tirade from A to Z. I'm going to be posting some links on our Facebook page with that big chart of all the different religions, what they believe, what doctrines they follow. Do they believe in the afterlife? All of that stuff. So you guys can scroll through it and see for yourself, and then do some further research in terms of that. Again, we didn't have this show to tell anybody that they need to walk away from their religion or they don't need to be, have a belief in a higher power. That was not the purpose of this conversation. The purpose of this conversation is to say that organized religion is actually doing more harm than good. And so you may want to reevaluate where you're navigating and why you're navigating in that way. Why do you believe what you believe to be true about said religion that you belong to or that you practice? With that being said, before I get out of here and break everything down for us, the Dalai Lama once said, there's no need for temples, no need for complicated philosophies. My brain and my heart are my temples. My philosophy is kindness. Want you guys to remember that. On behalf of our producer, Cousin Chan, our incredible invisible intern number 3, Sporty Spunky Angel, and Rocky Miller, the regular guy, for sitting in for none other than the Rob Carter. Thank you so very much for joining us. We'll see you next week where we will continue our engaging conversations. We appreciate all that you do, and we appreciate you being around. Remember, we're always uncensored, unscripted, unapologetic. We'll see you guys next week. Good night.
Good night.